Okay, so to summarize, we just took a question from Heather from Centro, and I think what she's asking is, in the native environment, when you use TEEDs, how are you able to develop creative that is really effective in a native environment when you're going through TEEDs, you're not working directly with the publishers? Is that basically sort of what you're asking? How does it change your creative approach? Stephanie, do you want to start?
I can take a stab at that. So I'll start from like an operations approach. So we very easily have been able to leverage our pre-roll in-stream creative and scale it across the outstream units. I think, it's tricky as I mentioned earlier, native is kind of defined differently if you ask a number of people. And while with outstream units, we're delivering within relevant content and across a number of premium publisher partners, and that's something that's viewable and engaging. What is unique or different than true, I think, native advertising is that that's defined as something that blends in organically with the page. So to answer the question, I think that the way that we're approaching outstream is not so much, do you need to evolve your creative? I think as long as you're being addressable and in the right content, it's an audience-driven message of which, as long as your strategy is good, you're getting in front of the right eyeballs, so your creative really shouldn't vary.
Mark, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my opinion is that there's different levels of when we talk about native, right? So you've got sort of editorial integration, right, which is where you're working direct with the actual publisher itself, which is sort of like the deepest level, in my opinion, of integration. And then you have things that are outside of that, right? You have ways and tools that you can use to basically fit it into the environments to make it feel and fit more with what they're actually looking at. And so I think there is some balance of taking, okay, here are the creative assets that would fit within the publishers that we would use, the Outstream platform for, and then also contextualizing it visually to make it feel like it's a very similar experience. So that's my understanding of it, and that's how I sort of think of native in those sort of two relationship ways.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on this? Jim, I know you do.
Yeah, well, I could say that when we came out with, the unit that a lot of our clients are using is something called the in-read unit, and it basically expands within editorial content. Right? So that's the basic of our outstream unit. When we came out with it, we called it native. That was the first name it had, and when we took a look at things, it ended up being a slight misnomer because there are a lot of different definitions, I think, as we had mentioned before, of native advertising, and we don't want to muddy and confuse the waters. That the type of outstream units that you might see in the marketplace can be considered native in their application because of the contextual relevancy, right? If we're working with we have a very large financial client that we work with, and they do home mortgages, and they have a 2-minute video about how to refinance your home. It's the most boring video you'll ever see, but it's extremely relevant to somebody who's reading an article about refinancing their home, and the engagement rates are extremely high, right? So in that video that we're putting on is native to the content that it's in. It's not a sponsored post, it's not a sponsored editorial, but making sure that we're putting a video in the correct contextual environment that adds value to the consumer. I mean, that's how we would see that as more of kind of a native definition of that player.